Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick. Another week, another epic article for X-Wing the miniature game. This one's a bit weird. This one talks a bit about the multiplayer pack and some of the scenarios they're in. It's got some images of the kind of setups you can do for different game states. There is this remote card here for the shuttle. And there's a little bit of information about this. This scenario where the shuttle sort of slowly flies across the board was in first edition. I think it came in one of the epic packs. I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't actually have a model for this because I think it would actually look quite cool on a table. But now that we actually have the remote mechanic, this seems to make a lot more sense. It actually defends with green dice. Has a ship ability, which is kind of cool. But look, we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about these new cards, as we always do on the channel. So we had a few more things revealed in this. Also a bit of information on the GR75 medium transport. In fact, let's start with that. This article's a bit all over the shop. It has a little bit of information from the multiplayer pack, a little bit of information from the conversion pack. Whatever, information is information. We have the stats here. It activates during activation at Initiative 7. I've got to think of a different way of saying that. That just doesn't make any sense. Activates during engagement at Initiative 1. Its stats are 2 red dice, 0 agility, 12 hull, 3 shield, and 4 energy. And they both just have the 1 carrot, so I think we can assume they recharge by 1 every turn. Its actions are 2 of any of focus, red reinforce, red target lock, white coordinate and jam, and it has the baked-in ability. Resupply craft. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs an action, you may spend 1 energy. If you do, it removes 1 orange or red tokens or recovers a shield. After it performs an action specifically. That's interesting. So stress can lock this ability down. There's no limit on how many times it can do it. It does say another, so you can't do it to the transport. It's only got 4 energy, so that wouldn't be hugely beneficial. It might just tax the abilities a bit too much. Seems pretty useful. This thing had a lot of crew and teams in first edition. I mean, it's really meant to be a utility ship, not your heavy hitter. It does have a 2 red dice primary, something I believe it didn't actually have in first edition. I don't think it actually had any weapons. Sounds cool. We got this Rebel pilot card, but we did not get the Resistance card. I think we can safely assume it's going to be exactly the same, just with a different picture and a orange Rebel symbol instead of a red one. Great. Let's have a look at some of these new cards. We have a new cargo card. Adaptive shields. While another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, if it is a smaller size than you, you may spend 1 shield or 2 energy to cancel 1 hit or crit. Again, it's another, so yep, for what that's worth. Feels pretty close having to be at range 0 to 1, but it's got a nice bit of utility, I suppose. If you can stop an Alpha Striker from being destroyed before it takes a shot back, that's always quite valuable if we're flying this alongside aces. Although, I don't really like the fact that if you're using this alongside of an ace, it has to be so close. Aces generally want to fly a bit more freer than that. Yeah, it seems decent. Cancelling hit and crit results in general is a powerful thing to be able to do. It does seem quite taxing. 1 shield or 2 energy does not seem like a small cost. Yeah, we'll just have to see how this is weighted. We have this new command card, which goes on to any small ship Initiative 4 or higher. Dreadnought Hunter, it's limited to 2 of in a list. While you perform an attack against a huge ship, if the attack deals a face-up damage card to the defender, and the defender is in your bullseye firing arc, you may apply the precision shot effect even if you are not in the specified arc. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, precision shot is this effect at the top of the damage cards, and if you deal that face-up damage card to a huge ship and you happen to be in that arc when you take that attack, you also apply this extra negative effect on precision shot. Dreadnought Hunter allows you to do that as long as they're inside your bullseye firing arc, no matter where you are shooting them from. And getting a huge ship inside your bullseye firing arc frankly does not seem difficult at all. It means you can't be broadsiding them as you do it, but I sort of get the impression that's fine. It's a bit annoying that you can't put it on like low initiative alpha strikers, but perhaps that's part of the way this card's balanced. I can understand why FFG might be a bit trepidatious about allowing just any torpedo carrier to be able to use this. This seems like a decent thing to put on an ace if it's cheap enough, but especially heavy hitters like Luke or Wedge who can take proton torpedoes. Might not be as desirable using those kinds of pilots in Epic, I will concede, but this is the kind of thing which might make them worth taking. Okay, over to a couple of Imperial crew command slots. Admiral Ozzel, we've gone through this before, it was on the spread of one of the old articles, but let's go through it again. Imperial huge ship only. While a friendly large or huge ship at range 0 to 3 executes a maneuver, it may suffer 1 damage to execute a maneuver of the same bearing and difficulty of speed 1 higher or lower. It seems like a big cost taking damage in order to change the speed. I think the key thing here is it's going to be hugely beneficial when it means you can get your ships into range of your opponent's ships, especially when you're fighting against epic ships because they can shoot beyond range 3 with some of their weapons. So landing just at range 4 of a huge ship with like 3 alpha strikers would suck. So Admiral Ozzel might help in those situations. I don't think you're going to want to use this alongside aces. I just don't think Sunterfell wants to be taking damage to change his dial. Also, a new card here in Captain Nita that we haven't seen before. He has 4 charges. After a friendly ship at range 0 to 4 reveals its dial, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, it sets its dial to another maneuver of the same difficulty and speed. Do I just straight up like this more than Admiral Ozzel? Kind of. My Admiral Ozzel can help you with range. I suppose in situations Nita can too, but this feels like a more of a utility thing. And this actually feels really decent alongside aces. Being able to change the direction if they're going to just go into a bump or just go into a kill box. Seems like a decent thing. It's only a 4 of. There is no limit on Admiral Ozzel apart from, the health of your ships. But yeah, I actually like this a lot more. This is the kind of card that I really enjoy playing with, something that gives you a lot of utility. And I know I've spoken before about things like Slave 1 and, I generally don't like taking it because I just like to dial my ships better. As a general rule. And I find, in the standard game, that's fine. But having this option not only on your huge ship, it's not another. Yes, it can work on the huge ship and it can work on any of the ships flying alongside it. That feels to me like too much utility to ignore. I like that a lot. One last card here. We have a title for the transport. Again, this is the Rebel one only. I don't think we're getting any resistance cards in this pack. As I've said before, it looks like all of the ships that have been sort of granted onto another faction, like the transport on the Resistance, seem to only have cards specific for the original faction, and my guess is FFG are going to add new epic ships onto the new factions at some stage, and they'll get their own unique cards, and that makes a lot of sense. This is Luminous. It removes 1 shield and adds 2 energy, which is quite handy with only 4 energy. You are placed in reserve at setup. At the end of setup, you're placed in the play area at range 0 to 2 of a friendly ship, so you can deploy forward of your deployment zone, although it's a transport. I'm not quite sure why you'd want to do that, but you can. Cool, no worries. It means you can place after all of your opponent's aces. That seems pretty decent. You can place after all other epic ships. I'm not really sure what to make of that. Is there a big reason why you'd want to sort of outflank your opponent with a transport? It's a powerful thing. I mean, if this was on a raider, this would be dumb. Maybe that's part of the design here. You can do a really funky thing, and then if you put really cool crew and teams on it, you can get a lot of value out of this. So I just don't think this really screams high value to me. But adding 2 energy seems decent, especially with things like adaptive shields and other things that taxes your energy. I don't know if this is going to have any hard points, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, frankly. It does have the primary attack now, so does it really need to have more attacks? I mean, this is a transport. This is not really about having those kinds of things. The reason I bring that up is because there are hard point upgrades that can really tax your energy in order to give you a lot of attacks, which feels great in my opinion, but yeah, I think we need to know what kind of cards we can play with this before I make a final judgment. But it seems interesting nonetheless. And indeed, that's all the information we have from this article. I was sort of curious. I thought we were done with these epic articles, but FFG seems to just be doing little by little. We got a lot of these just before second edition dropped because we had all these articles on rules, and basically every other article had one more card, spoiled one more card, and maybe FFG are just trying to keep this hype trainer moving. Whatever, as long as they do that, I will cover it here on the channel. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Reddit. Please consider supporting my Patreon as well. The biggest thing right now in terms of supporting this channel monetarily. Can't stress that enough. YouTube ad revenue is crap. That's just the way it is. Thank you so much to everyone that has already supported the Patreon. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'll catch you all in the next video.